Ryan Reynolds, the adored, witty, seemingly down-to-earth Hollywood star, may be facing one of the biggest reputation shakeups of his career, and we're here to give you every juicy detail.
Ryan Reynolds is now under a microscope for bad behavior as Boy Meets World alum Matthew Lawrence stated on a recent episode of his podcast that the two had creative differences in a film that they worked on together back in 1998 called Boltneck.
Picture this. For years, he's been hailed as the nicest guy in Tinseltown, an actor who never fails to charm audiences with a grin, a clever one-liner, and a playful social media presence. But could it all be a carefully curated facade?
Paula, it seems like Ryan can't really catch a break right now with bad press between his wife, Blake Lively's movie drama, now this.
That's exactly what some fans are starting to wonder, especially after a bombshell revelation from Matthew Lawrence. Yes, the beloved Boy Meets World alum, who just spilled major tea about working with Reynolds back in 1998 on the movie Boltneck. Lawrence took to his podcast to reveal that the fresh-faced, younger Ryan Reynolds wasn't quite the dream collaborator many might assume he was. According to Matthew, the tension on set went from 0 to 100 whenever Ryan was given creative feedback.
But that Ryan did not take criticism very well. And every time he did, he'd just get freaked out and storm off.
We've all heard of actors bristling at criticism, but insiders claim Ryan would literally storm off if he didn't like the notes he was getting. And keep in mind, these weren't just any producers.
Now, you have to understand, the producers of this movie were Oscar-nominated producers, so they knew what they were doing. However, Ryan, in his youth, thought that he knew better.
Yet, apparently, the youthful, up-and-coming Reynolds decided he knew better than everyone else in the room. Worse still, he reportedly attempted to morph a serious role into a comedic shtick, channeling what onlookers described as his inner Jim Carrey.
And in a serious role, tried to make it comedic. At one point, even tried to channel his inner Jim Carrey, at which point the producers were like, listen, this is not this. Please don't do Jim Carrey. Please do the role, and please be yourself. And he did not like that.
A bold move that even prompted the producers to gently, or maybe not so gently, remind him that this was, in fact, not a slapstick comedy. But here's where it gets really intriguing. Lawrence was careful to specify that Ryan was still quite young, and he hinted that the star may have matured over time.
But what's interesting, Marky, is that Ryan Reynolds has always been seen as the nice guy. And ever since the lawsuit between he and his wife and Justin Baldoni, it's a lot of stuff is trickling out.
That statement alone, though, has kicked off a flurry of speculation across social media and tabloids alike, prompting fans to wonder, did Ryan Reynolds truly grow out of these tantrums, or is that rumored diva streak still lurking beneath his polished exterior? Now, if that weren't enough drama, let's just say the timing couldn't be worse for Ryan's squeaky clean image. Recently, his wife Blake Lively found herself under fire for some alleged drama tied to her latest film project, prompting even more scrutiny into the couple's personal and professional lives.
I'm going to have a lot more this week on a lot of other people who are saying, yeah, he was not great to work with.
Then, the even bigger bomb dropped. A lawsuit involving Blake, Ryan, and actor Justin Baldoni, which has driven fans to question how the so-called perfect Hollywood marriage has suddenly become entangled in controversies. Now, according to various unconfirmed reports, the couple has been fending off rumor after rumor, with some alleged insiders claiming there's a pattern of controlling behavior behind the scenes. Behavior that extends to script demands, co-star relationships, and production decisions. Imagine the shock of millions of fans who've long viewed Ryan as the laid-back dude who never takes himself too seriously. Social media, as you might expect, has gone into overdrive.
Ryan Reynolds is now under a microscope for bad behavior as Boy Meets World alum Matthew Lawrence stated on a recent episode of his podcast that the two had creative differences in a film that they worked on together back in 1998 called Boltneck.
In one corner, you have the die-hard Reynolds supporters who simply refuse to believe these stories, describing them as gross exaggerations and attention-seeking stunts from people desperate for the spotlight. Meanwhile, another corner of the internet is suddenly remembering other times Ryan might have clashed with directors or co-stars, citing cryptic interviews and behind-the-scenes gossip.
but that Ryan did not take criticism very well. And every time he did, he'd just get freaked out and storm off.
We're seeing Twitter threads longer than Deadpool's wisecracks, with some fans joking that Reynolds teleports away from criticism faster than the Flash, and others coining pun-filled nicknames like Ryan Rage Quit Reynolds. All of this comedic commentary underscores a deeper question. Is there a legitimate pattern here? Or is it just standard Hollywood rumor churning? The revelations from Matthew Lawrence serve as a fresh flashpoint, but that's not all that's keeping pop culture watchers on their toes. News Nation's senior story editor, Paula Frolick, teased even more developments on the horizon, telling her followers to keep an eye on her newsletter for additional stories from folks who claim to have also witnessed or experienced Ryan's not-so-friendly side. She even hinted that multiple people could soon come forward to confirm that he was notoriously difficult on set during the early stages of his career. It's definitely not the narrative we're used to hearing about the man behind Deadpool, the wisecracking anti-hero who captured hearts worldwide. And if these new claims keep piling up, it might be challenging for Ryan to maintain that beloved public persona. But let's take a step back and consider some context. Ryan Reynolds, like many Hollywood stars, started out young and presumably had his share of ego battles. He's also known for consistently pushing comedic boundaries, something that's worked exceedingly well in roles like Deadpool, where snarky improvisation is practically part of the job description. Is it possible that his comedic instincts clashed with more serious projects early in his career? Absolutely. But does that necessarily mean he's still the same way? According to Lawrence, Ryan has mellowed with age, which begs the question, why bring this up now, years after the fact? Cynics might say it's just to generate hype around Lawrence's podcast, while others might argue that it's simply an important piece of Reynolds' past that fans deserve to know.
But what's interesting, Marky, is that Ryan Reynolds has always been seen as the nice guy. And ever since the lawsuit between he and his wife and Justin Baldoni, it's a lot of stuff is trickling out.
Either way, it adds another complicated layer to the star's image. Of course, the real storm swirling around the Reynolds lively household doesn't just stop at claims of Ryan's past bad behavior. There's also the lawsuit fiasco that has generated a whirlwind of curiosity. Some fans have gone as far as to suggest that the stress from this legal entanglement might be fueling new or resurfaced stories, with the tabloids smelling blood in the water. After all, scandal plus star power is always a recipe for front-page headlines. One day you're beloved, the next you're a tabloid fixture. Now, does that mean Ryan Reynolds is poised for a fall from grace akin to those Hollywood meltdown stories we've heard so many times before? That's the million-dollar question. He has the massive juggernaut of Deadpool 3 looming, plus endless other projects, brand deals, and social media endorsements. Some industry insiders argue that he's simply too big to fail at this point, that his fan base is too loyal, and his comedic brand too globally recognized for a few negative headlines to do any real, lasting damage. Others caution that Hollywood can be fickle, and one meltdown, especially when followed by another and another, could change how the public sees him overnight. Just think of all the stars who went from universal darlings to polarizing figures in a matter of months due to behind-the-scenes revelations. Will Ryan be next, or will these allegations fade into a minor footnote in his career? We can't ignore that the revelations are cropping up in a pattern. First rumors of him clashing with producers, then stories about controlling tendencies and collaborative creative processes, and now this nostalgic trip down memory lane with Matthew Lawrence, who is basically telling fans, yes, I saw it with my own eyes. Skeptics might wonder if these behind-the-scenes tales are surfacing simply because the public loves to tear down a star at the top of their game, or if they're truly indicative of real tension that's been quietly festering all along. The only certainty is that Hollywood watchers everywhere are on the edge of their seats waiting for more revelations. And you can bet there will be more. In a world where every hint of controversy is magnified and dissected by legions of social media users, stories like these can either blow over in a few days or completely upend an actor's trajectory. Ryan Reynolds' team may soon face a choice. Ignore the chatter and let it die down on its own, or launch a proactive campaign to reaffirm his nice guy image. If his famed wit is any indication, we may soon see a string of self-deprecating jokes posted to his social channels, skewering the allegations in that irreverent comedic style that has always won fans over. But there's a danger in laughing off claims that you were difficult to work with. It risks invalidating the experiences of coworkers who might then double down with even more details. So how Ryan decides to spin this latest wave of gossip could be the defining factor in whether it fizzles or escalates. That leads us to the climactic question: is this merely a speed bump for Ryan Reynolds, a fleeting PR flare-up in an otherwise stellar career, or is this the spark of a bigger meltdown that might unravel his carefully cultivated brand? The next few weeks, especially if more people start supporting Matthew Lawrence's story, could be very telling. Even more so if we see updates about that lawsuit involving Justin Baldoni. In the meantime, fans, commentators, and Hollywood insiders will likely be embroiled in a fierce debate over whether Ryan's earlier history of alleged on-set tantrums should be held against him in the present day. On one side, you'll hear that everyone grows and matures, that early career missteps don't define a star forever. On the other side, you'll hear that it's crucial for big-name celebrities to be held accountable for toxic behavior, no matter when it happened. One thing's for sure, the controversy is great for generating clicks, headlines, and heated discussions, which ironically can sometimes end up benefiting the star in question by keeping them constantly in the spotlight. By now, you're probably wondering, how can I keep track of all these twists and turns without getting lost in the rumor mill? Well, that's exactly why you should hit that subscribe button right now, because we're going to keep you posted on every fresh, sizzling detail that surfaces. From deep dives into producers' statements to scouring red carpet interviews for clues, we won't let a single snippet of gossip slip under the radar. So give us a thumbs up if you're fascinated by this story and want more inside scoop on Hollywood's biggest bombshells. And here's my question for you. Do you believe Ryan Reynolds has really turned over a new leaf? Or do you suspect that Matthew Lawrence's account might be the tip of an iceberg no one has dared to uncover? Until now, let us know your thoughts in the comments. After all, celebrity culture is all about the dialogue between fans, critics, and the stars themselves, and your perspective is a huge part of that conversation. If you think this story is going to keep unfolding, buckle up, because we'll be right here to guide you through every messy chapter as more details emerge. In the wild world of Hollywood, today's headline can become tomorrow's afterthought or tomorrow's unstoppable scandal. All right, show's over. Hungry for more twists? You know where to find us. Keep that popcorn hot. We'll handle the drama. Want to catch the next showdown in real time? Hit subscribe and buckle up.